Hello, Eurovision friends. Thank you so much for coming to my channel, Eurovision Histories, for sort of a special video today. Because in this video, I want to talk about my Eurovision journey, how I became the crazy nerd and complete fanatic of this competition that I am today, doing videos on this crazy singing competition every single day and thinking about it all the time, listening to the music. Lots of you have asked me questions about my earliest Eurovision memory, my favorite song overall. And so I want to share with you how I got into the competition, my earliest memories. And I kind of hope that this can be a sort of conversation between us in this Eurovision Histories community, and you can leave some comments with your own story of how you became a Eurovision fan, because you must be if you discovered this video. Now, I'm going to go through it a bit chronologically because that's how it happened. And my very earliest Eurovision memory is Gildo Horn representing Germany in 1998. I was 8 years old at the time, but I distinctly remember seeing that performance. I also remember all of the hype that was going on in Germany in 1998 about that performance. In the mid-90s, Eurovision was a bit dead in Germany, really. One year we didn't even make it to the final, the only year in Eurovision history we didn't make it to the final. And so interest was very, very low. But in 1998, everyone was talking about Gildo Horn, this crazy guy with the crazy hair, going to this sort of old-fashioned ballad competition, Schlager competition, and really shaking it up. And so we watched that night. I do remember that. I also remember that we did not watch the entire competition. And thinking about that today, I can't quite believe that my parents did that. But we zapped around and we just watched the German performance. I have no idea how they knew when the German performance would be on, but they zapped to ARD, the main channel that Eurovision is on in Germany, and we watched that performance, and it was amazing, great, we loved it. And then we zapped back to something else, and then we came back to the voting. And I distinctly remember that I had this feeling that something special was happening, because this was the first time in my life, really, that I had heard someone not speak, like presenting a television program, not speaking German, because obviously it was all in English. And to have all of these flags in the audience, but also on the screen, this competition element to it, and the presenter speaking English and French, it all was just the discovery of something really special to me. I, to this day, don't know what came first, my love for languages and other cultures and traveling, or whether it was my love for Eurovision. I think it was my love for languages, was always there. But I really discovered that this was something that I was really into, the flags and countries and all of that. I still remember that I loved looking at maps and globes and looking at flags and stuff like that. I had a few books for that as well. So probably the interest was there, and Eurovision and watching the voting in 1998 just sparked that and made me realize that this is something I really, really like. I do not remember at all the 1999 contest, even though Germany came third. So I'm a bit sad that I don't remember any of it. But I think interest was a bit lower in Germany again, and my parents probably didn't watch it. But I do remember the Olsen brothers winning in 2000. We had been somewhere else, and we came home and just watched the voting once again. But again, I loved the voting so much. And till this day, I think that is the part of Eurovision that really got me interested in the whole thing. It wasn't really the music or the songs, it was the voting and the competition aspect of it all. I've never been a big fan of sports, but I love the excitement of the competition, and you have that in Eurovision, of course, as well. And then I must have liked the song in 2000, the Olsen Brothers, a lot, because I still have a single that I apparently bought right after. I don't think we watched the 2001 contest in its entirety again. I think we did the same thing like in 1998, because I do remember some interviews with Michelle, the German representative, and what dress she was going to wear and crazy stuff like that. And then I also remember the voting and my mom at some point saying, well, it's not going to happen this year either. We're not going to win. And then we switched to another channel because the most important part was the German performance and us winning, which to this day, I don't quite understand, but that's, I think, how a lot of people watch Eurovision, because you always see that the ratings in a lot of countries go up when their own act performs. And then during the voting and the rest, they don't really care about, and then probably complain that their song didn't do better, even though they didn't even hear any of the other songs. But anyway, then 2002, I don't quite remember seeing that either, but I do remember watching 2003. And from 2003 onwards, I've seen every single final live, and I've been into it very much from that moment on. However, the real initial moment that made me a huge Eurovision fan was 2004, when Max was chosen to represent Germany with Can't Wait Until Tonight. And there was a lot of buzz that we were going to win. And I really, in my youthful ignorance, believed that it was going to happen. And it's so clear that this is a great song and the best song. And we're so going to win with that song. And then, of course, it didn't happen. And Ukraine won. And I did not get that at all. It was a loud entry. And I liked ballads back then already, like I do today as well. And I liked the French song and the German song and the Dutch song. And I did not understand how something like Ukraine Wild Dances could actually win. Today, it is one of my favorite entries from that year. But that's also something I love about thinking back at how I have developed as a Eurovision fan, so to speak. And I think we share that story a lot in this community, where until a certain age, you really think that your own country's entry is the greatest and the best, and you defend it and you think it's going to win. And then the minute it doesn't win, you are completely devastated, and it's everyone else's fault. No one got how great our song was. And then after a while, you realize, no, the world doesn't revolve around me. My taste is not the best thing in the world. Other people like other things for different reasons. And also the fact that I started to like songs from previous years that I hadn't liked at all during that season. But after a while, they grew on me and I liked them more and more. And I got more and more into them. That was an experience that really opens you up, I think, as well for new experiences and new cultures and other people's opinions and tastes. And so when I see on my channel someone comment that I underrate their entry and it's so great and so on, and I'm guessing that it's someone who is under the age of 16, I'm usually very lenient, and I do understand because I was that kid once before. If it's someone with gray hair, I'm a bit less lenient, because I think by that time you could have opened up your mind and understood that other people like other kinds of music. And I think being a Eurovision fan also helps you to become more open-minded, because you have these songs that become part of your life kind of for a certain period in April and May, and you listen to the types of songs that you don't listen to the rest of the year. Maybe you listen to songs in genres that you're not really used to at all, but they start growing on you through the listening process and the kind of brainwashing that goes on until Eurovision actually happens. And it opens you up to new experiences. I have seen that, for example, listening to Måneskin and their song. This was not something I really listened to, and I became a huge Måneskin fan, and now I like that genre of music a lot more as well. But going back to my Eurovision experience, this kind of happened from 2004 through 2007, 2008, because the German entries were not doing well at all. And I kind of realized after a while that if I didn't want to feel this huge disappointment every single time the day after Eurovision, I had to kind of open my mind, I guess. It's kind of the process of growing up as well, I guess, and realize that other people have other tastes and like other things. And so in 2000, however, However, in 2006, when Lordi won, I was absolutely devastated once again because I did not understand at all how someone could be voting for something so loud and something so out there and crazy and monster masked. And I really thought, quite dramatic. My favorite show is over. Why did they vote for something like this? Looking back at it now, I completely understand why people liked it, and I like it today as well. You have to understand at the time I was, and that's another step in my Eurovision journey. If you look behind me, a huge Celine Dion fan, and I still am. And I love these ballads in French and English with a great voice. And so something like Lordi winning was completely out of this world for me. However, I don't remember when I realized that my two worlds were actually meeting, that Celine Dion had actually won Eurovision. I think it was because the German fan club, OGAE Germany, had a website where they had like short reports on each contest from 1956 to 2004. So what happened, who won, what kinds of scandals happened, which countries withdrew and joined and stuff like that. And I think that's the first time I realized that Celine had actually won for Switzerland and that my two worlds were connected in a very specific way. Where was I? In 2006 when Lordi won. Then in 2007, I absolutely despised Veka Seduchka because I didn't like joke entries at all or funny entries. Now it's a great entry that I love to listen to. I really wanted Serbia and Molitva to win. That was really the first time I guess, realized that I love Balkan ballads as well. There was something about the performance that was quite similar to a Celine Dion song, maybe to an English pop ballad, but still special because it was in Serbian. And so I was very happy when it won, but I also remember the whole discussion happening at the time about the East voting for each other. And I remember someone in my life, I don't remember who, saying that these people used to hate each other and now they give each other 12 points. What is going on? And I just remember that very distinctly because it made me think about that. Why is that happening? And I read up on the history of the Balkans in the 90s and also before that. And that's still a topic I'm very much interested in today. And so, you know, it's a give and take sort of. There's some things in Eurovision that just draw me to Eurovision, and then some other things that Eurovision gives me that make me more interested in other things as well. Then 2008, I didn't understand the winner at all and was very unhappy. 2009 was fine. And then, of course, 2010 happened and just put me in overdrive after we won. Like for this whole period from 2000 to 2010, it was absolutely unthinkable that we would ever win Eurovision again. It felt like, you know, Spain, France, Germany, obviously they were never going to win. They always came in the last couple, in the bottom five, in the last couple of places. And then it actually did happen. And this made me, already before it happened, I was really invested. I listened to all the songs. I learned about the artists and stuff like that. But then when we won, the whole year after that, leading up to the contest in Germany, I was crazy about Eurovision. I loved it. I watched the national finals for the very first time, some of them at least. I remember that as well. Listened to some of the songs in the national finals. I had never done that before. And so you see how a country winning can really energize the Eurovision fan community in that country. So I hope that the guys listening from Spain or France who might feel the same way, it's never going to happen for us. It can happen, and then you will be very happy. I can tell you that. And then in 2011, I actually went to Eurovision, to the grand final, not in the first rows at all, but I was in the hall when it all happened. I still remember the voting, and I was very surprised by things happening again, Ukraine being so high. I loved Bosnia that year, and it did well, but then kind of fell in the ranking. And then Italy coming second, I didn't understand at all either. But it was a great experience seeing it, hearing it, talking to other fans in the stadium. And but I did also notice that I do like watching it on television as well and not having so much noise and all of these people talking around me and stuff like that. But still, I'm special in that way, I guess. And from that moment on, from our win and then the hosting in 2011 and being at the contest, I was completely sold. I followed every single Eurovision season religiously, watched a lot of the national finals. Sanremo has always been one of my favorites. And by then, in 2011, roundabout, I started listening to old editions as well and discovered all of these wonderful songs. Obviously, I had an idea of who had won and listened to some of these songs, but I really discovered things like A Festa da Vida, the Portuguese song in 1974, which I'm still completely in love with. Après Toi by Vicky Leandros, a wonderful song. Or L'Enfant Soleil by Anne-Marie David, and all of these beautiful things, and realizing that Eurovision is not just diversity in a single year with all of these different languages and styles of music, but if you go back and look at this incredible history of the competition, there's also a lot of trends and things that you can look at and beautiful songs and music to discover. And I really fell in love with this idea to discover something that has this very rich history and to be a part sort of that history as well. And this is how it went on. I love watching 2012. I remember who I was with for each of the finals from then on. And then in 2015, something quite special happened. I don't know if any of you remember this, but there was this fan video at the beginning of the final where people handed each other things, like a social media trend kind of thing for 2015, I guess. And this happened. And, after that happened, I was over the moon and so happy that even it's a very, very small part, of course, but I am sort of part of Eurovision history with this, like so many other people. I'm not overstating this, I hope, but I was quite happy to have been part of Eurovision in 2015. And then I went again in 2017, also because I wanted to visit Ukraine, and Kiev was such an amazing experience. This beautiful, beautiful city that I sort of didn't expect to be so beautiful. And the Eurovision village, I had not experienced that in Düsseldorf because I went to the final and then went home. But in Kiev, I was there for a week and I went to these concerts at the Eurovision village, and the whole city was in Eurovision like decorations and stuff like that. And I saw a lot of the shows, I think both semifinals, and I did see the final, and I was very close to the stage when Salvador Sobral performed, for example. And I did not like the winner that year either, which is one of the reasons I have stopped going, because the years that I went, songs won that I didn't really like all that much, but still, it was a great experience and it kind of made me love Eurovision even more. And then the next step on my journey to be a Eurovision nerd and fanatic was in 2021. Of course, I was devastated in 2020 that it had to be canceled, but then 2021 happened and I was in quarantine. I couldn't go out. So I had all the time in the world, like the 2 weeks before the grand final, or maybe a week, I don't remember. So I had all the time in the world to really get into it, to analyze who would win and listen to all the songs. And I completely fell in love with Manija and with Måneskin and with Shum as well, with Voila, obviously. Just really spending a lot of time enjoying Eurovision, so to speak. And then in 2023, I started this channel. At the beginning, I talked about old editions of Eurovision because I wanted other people to also discover the great and rich history of the competition. And I hope at some point I will be able to continue that as well. And then I started doing a few videos on the songs of 2023 and noticed that a lot of people were interested in what I had to say, and that's where we are today. So I wanted to also take the opportunity in this video to thank you. I still don't understand why so many people want to hear what I have to say about these songs, but it's really a wonderful experience. Also reading your comments, being in a discussion with you, it really does feel a bit like a community. And that's why I wanted to make this video and kind of share my journey. And I'm very interested to hear your Eurovision journey. I think the fact that you listen to songs in so many different languages, so many genres, different styles and sorts of performing and voices, and you realize that songs grow on you and grow off you because you hear them, you just simply hear them more times than you would hear another song. So had I heard a song like Cha 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 once, that would have been the only time I heard that song. But because it's a Eurovision song, I took my time, I interpreted, I read the lyrics, the translation as well. And I really got into the song and really fell in love with an entry like that, that otherwise I would have completely blown off as something crazy that I don't want to listen to. And I'm very thankful for Eurovision for that reason. And I think, and some people have commented about that, that's one of the reasons I don't talk trash about the entries. Like, I tell you why I like entries and why I don't like others, but I'm always open to having my mind changed because it has happened in the past. Måneskin getting me into rock, Carrier making me appreciate a crazy song in Finnish, and I love Portuguese music now. I love Italian music. I love music from the Balkans. I'm learning languages and learning about cultures and traditions through the Eurovision songs, but sometimes also apart from the Eurovision songs. And that's also something I wanted to share on this channel with everyone. And it's always a joy to see that people are really interested in that. That was a lot of rambling. I hope it was enjoyable to you. Sorry if it wasn't, but I'm guessing you're not watching this part of the video if it wasn't. Thank you for subscribing to the channel as well. If you don't want to miss any of my future videos, do subscribe, and then I'll see you for my next video on the songs of 2025, most likely. Do leave a comment, as I said, about your own Eurovision journey, your first memories, and how you became a fan of the competition. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Bye-bye.